Welcome to the Champions of Active Women podcast. In each episode, we share stories and experiences of active female role models and individuals who support the active pursuits of girls and women. Our goal is to encourage and inspire girls and women to be active for a lifetime, to reach their goals, and to break new barriers in sport and life. This podcast is brought to you by the Active Women's Health Initiative in the Sports Medicine Research Institute at the University of Kentucky. The mission of the Active Women's Health Initiative is to optimize health and promote physical activity and wellness for girls and women across the lifespan. If you enjoy this podcast, you can make a donation to the Active Women's Health Initiative at uky.networkforgood.com. Your contribution helps us empower all girls and women to find their inner athlete and become athletes for life. McKenna Reitz is a teacher, coach, inspirational speaker, author, and mother of two girls. McKenna played volleyball at Hope College and earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in secondary education with a history major. For the past 2 years, she has taught AP Psychology and coached varsity volleyball at Springfield High School in Ohio. In 2015, McKenna was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called alopecia, which results in total body hair loss. Sports were and still are an important part of McKenna's life. She says, quote, "Volleyball changed my life. It gave me the strength I have needed to fight many battles in my life," end quote. McKenna was named 2020 Make a Difference Teacher, BCSN Teacher of the Month, District 7 Coach of the Year, Promedica Junior Philanthropist of the Year, given a Humanitarian Award while also being nominated numerous times for Toledo's 20 Under 40 Award. McKenna has shared her story with numerous audiences and most recently was invited to speak at a TEDx conference in Philadelphia. Welcome, McKenna.
Thank you so much for having me.
So as I was preparing for this conversation today, volleyball is something that just kept coming up over and over and over again in your life. And it seems to be an important thing throughout your life, one of the important things. And I was hoping you'd get us started today by talking about how you got your start in volleyball.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different from what present day young females are doing. You know, you're starting to play volleyball at such a young age now. I didn't actually pick up the game until 6th grade in just a rec league in our town called Sylvania, Ohio. And I just tried it out and started liking it and tried out for a middle school team and made it. And I didn't start playing club volleyball until actually 8th grade, which I'm happy about because it gave me time to learn the game, start to fall in love with the game, where it wasn't consuming my life. Until obviously I got into high school and started playing travel and playing varsity volleyball and going to camps in the summer. But you know, volleyball has been the core of my networking, my opportunities that I had. I had the opportunity to play in college at a small Division III school in Holland, Michigan, Hope College. Has a very strong and successful academic and athletic programs. And I always wanted to get back in the classroom, to give back to student athletes of how my coaches and my teachers have done. And so my goal was to go into education and then go into become a varsity volleyball coach. And that's exactly what I've done. And through my journey, it's allowed me to meet amazing people. I had the opportunity to travel to Switzerland and play over in Switzerland when I was in college. And I met my husband, which then led me to meet Dr. Phil Gribble from University of Kentucky. And it's just an amazing world that has just brought so many amazing opportunities to me.
So if you just started playing in 6th grade, what was an active life like for you before that? Were you in other sports or just as, you know, in childhood activities?
No, I actually competitively swam for 10 years.
Oh.
My dad swam at Miami of Ohio, and I loved swimming. I swam for 2 clubs year round. And that was where I was in it for so long that by 8th grade, I started to lose the passion for it. I also played softball. I tried ballet and gymnastics. Those weren't for me, but I tried everything, started to love things. And, and then I kind of just fell into my own when I discovered volleyball.
Yeah, we share that competitive swimming background. I swam all the way through college, and
Awesome.
some of the parts of your story there are really resonate with me, that, that developing that love for the sport. I was not pushed to do doubles and crazy training for a long time in my life, and I loved the sport when I went to college still, and that was so different than many of my peers.
And that's what I watch my student athletes. Softball is the big sport at our school. And by the senior year, they've been playing year round for 18 years of their life, basically. And a
Hmm.
lot of them don't want to play in college. And that just breaks my heart, because playing in college is such an honor, but also an amazing experience. And we have two daughters, and I think each of them are a different activity every night. We just want them to try everything. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, awesome. And we're not going to push them into play club or travel, because we just want them to enjoy life and be a kid.
Yeah. You mentioned your dad earlier, that he was a swimmer, and sounds like an athlete role model. Did you have other people in your life who were supporting your active lifestyle?
Yeah, I come from a very small family, but I come from a very loving and unconditionally supportive family. My mom is my rock and my heart and my soul. And my grandparents, I was very close with my grandparents. My grandfather, who was my dad's dad, actually was a baseball player. He fought in World War II and actually played baseball overseas during the war in North
Mm.
Africa and Europe, which was amazing. And so I got to watch him actually play softball until he's 85. He played with the Babes of 1917 out of Cleveland, Ohio, and they traveled the world playing softball. He still played volleyball at the Y. They golfed. My grandparents golfed and bowled, and they just were at every function possible. They pushed me. Every time I saw my grandfather, he'd say, "What do I always tell you?" And I'd say, "Practice makes perfect." And we can have a discussion of what that statement means, but it just meant that he wants me to have a great work ethic and to always give 100%. You don't have to be the best, but be the hardest worker out there.
So it sounds like you had lots of role models, especially for that lifelong enjoyment of physical activity and sport. So was there something particular about volleyball that really caught your attention, or that you loved?
Uh, there might be a lot of argument when it comes to this, but volleyball is one of the true team sports. You can have a stud on your team, but there's three contacts. That stud, whoever they are, I mean, a Kentucky player who just won the national
We're
championship,
pretty excited about that
it
here.
should be, because that was exciting to
Yeah.
watch. You can have that stud outside hitter, but how are you going to get that pass and that set to them? And it's relying and leading that team. And I was a setter. And so I loved being in that, we call it the quarterback position. I love the leadership and being able to work with others and figuring out how to overcome losses, overcome points, being down and fighting back. And I just love the intensity, the fast pace of the game. And, I found something that I loved and I was good at, and I was able to be successful with.
So you've mentioned a few things already that I think might answer this question, but I haven't asked it directly. So what are some of the lessons that you learned throughout your life in playing volleyball, and now also as a volleyball coach?
Exactly what I talked about is just being a hard worker and being relentless. Our lives are difficult. We are thrown punches every single day. We have adversity. We have mountains to climb. But what I've learned through my athletic career, and then also through teaching and coaching, because you see the whole different aspect of it when it comes to dealing with parents and creating a program and building up a self-esteem, is just being relentless about everything that comes to you, regardless of size, regardless of importance. That whatever is in front of you, go all in. And it takes time to learn lessons like this. And sometimes we wish it had happened, but there's reasons it takes a while. And so going all in, trusting your teammates, trusting your colleagues, working in that cooperation of being able to rely on one another, that you can't go through this journey called life alone. And that's what we need to learn, being able to go up to a coach and just say, "Hey coach, I'm struggling." Being able to go up to my principal and say, "Hey, I'm struggling," and just being able to create that communication. So, my life is because of athletics and what I've learned from it. And I'm stronger because of it.
So in 2015, you had a life-changing diagnosis that a lot of people would say is a whole lot of adversity. And in some of the things I've read that in your statements, it seems like athletics was part of dealing with managing, overcoming that adversity. Can you just talk about that with us?
Absolutely. In November 2015, I lost, I would say 90% of my hair due to an autoimmune disease called alopecia. And what it is, it just attacks your hair follicles. And I have the most aggressive one where it took literally every hair on my entire body, from eyebrows to eyelashes. I mean, there's so many silver linings though, because I don't have to shave anymore. It takes me I can go work out in the morning, be out of the house in 10 minutes. But it was a really difficult journey in the beginning. I did everything in my power to grow my hair back because that's what I do. I have a problem, I'm going to solve it. And I'm not going to give up until because I'm very competitive, obviously.
Mhm.
And I did, topical creams to medicines that compromise my immune system, to weekly injections of steroids into my scalp for 6 months. And nothing was working. But from the day that I remember standing in the shower with my hands full of hair, I mean, it was just, it's, I can't even describe, sometimes I can describe it, but it's very difficult to imagine. But I have 2 young daughters at home who are watching my every move. I have students who are relying on me every single day. And I want to show them how we as women are strong and we can empower each other and continue lifting each other up. And I also teach in a very diverse school system. And so I showed up every single day. I never took a day off. Even when I wanted to, I still showed up every day because I needed to prove to my daughters, to my family, to my students that we will be knocked down, but we will get right back up and that nothing will ever slow us down. And I wanted to do that for my daughters, mostly because adversity surrounds us, and adversity and diversity is what makes our society so amazing. And I want everyone to understand that. And so it took me a while to show up authentically me, bald and proud. It took me 4 years to finally go out bald, but once I did, I had to pull that Band-Aid off. I can show up me and know that I am enough and I am worth it. And I can prove that to the young female athletes, the young female students, and my daughters every single day.
What a powerful message that comes out of that experience, which was, challenging, and I can't even imagine what that must feel like, but it's you've really made the best out of that situation and sent some positive messages with it.
And I think that's the big thing, is that we're always going to face adversity in our life, and a lot of times you get to hide it, where my story is visible every single day. But allow yourself to be weak. Give yourself time. You have to be able to grieve or whatever you have to do, but then get yourself back up. Find the silver linings. Like I said, there's so many silver linings. It's pouring rain here, and I was walking in the building, and you see 5 other women with umbrellas, and I'm like, haha, I don't have to worry about my hair getting, it's making my dome even shinier. It's things like that. And, there's silver linings in every situation, from COVID to online learning to, to not having hair. There's always going to be some positive, and sometimes you just have to dig deep for it.
Yeah. So you've mentioned several times your role as a coach, a volleyball coach, and as a teacher. And in those capacities, you're working with young women. Also, as a mother, you have young women living with you. And I'm wondering what you see as their biggest challenges in life and or in sports.
Honestly, I think it's something that has never changed, regardless of technology. Our biggest challenge is ourselves. That we put so much pressure onto ourselves to be just like everyone else, to be accepted. And then you throw in technology, and then you throw in social media and comparing yourself to others. And the only person you need to compare to is the person yesterday. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is that not to be able to show up authentically us. And unfortunately, life has to happen, and we have to have role models. And that's why I strive to stand up every single day, be vulnerable and transparent about my story, so my young student athletes can just be themselves and look in that mirror and say, I am enough. I'm proud of myself. And when we can get out of our own way, the possibilities are truly endless.
So what is the best part about your role as coach, teacher, and mom of young girls?
I don't coach for wins and losses. I coach to take these young females. So I have 14-year-old that's starting for me, as a varsity player. And I get to watch these 14-year-olds and help them to grow into these young, confident women, because the percentage of student athletes who actually get to go off and play in college is 1%, maybe even less than 1%. And so my goal is to empower them enough that when they leave my program, when they graduate from Springfield High School, they are these strong, independent women who can make decisions on their own. They can stand on their own 2 feet. They can take care of themselves, and they know that the world is their oyster and they are capable of so much more. And then the winning comes with that, because it builds the character and it builds the passion and it builds that confidence. And I get to see that, see them grow from these young girls to these young women who have so much potential ahead of them.
So, you're working with girls who are mostly active, and I'm wondering about two things. One, if they're not continuing on in their sport in college, do you talk to them at all about maintaining a lifetime of activity? And then, so that's my first question. We'll just stop there.
Okay.
Thinking about kind of a lifetime of activity for your athletes.
Absolutely. I try and show them what volleyball has done for me, and that I still play. My husband and I still play beach leagues. We run the beach leagues. The people we've met, and because of that, we've got to meet Dr. Phil Gribble. I mean, that is continuously being a role model, that when you show up, you are making the choice how you show up every single day. And, we work out together all the time, and getting them to love working out rather than hating it, when you usually do, because you find it as a form of punishment, where I don't like to use it much as a punishment, rather than this is why, and teaching them the reasons to stay healthy and to put good nutrition into our bodies, because then eventually our bodies start to change. You have babies. I mean,
Mhm.
things start, and that's, you want to stay up with your kids. And so I hope that I'm doing that through exemplification of me. I jump into practice with my girls, and I'm like, hey, this is a 39-year-old still destroying you in a brick to brick. Like, let's go, and so it's fun just, representing myself.
So you're still playing volleyball recreationally. What other what other ways do you like to be active?
I get up. I'm an early bird. It's the only time I can get my workout in. So I'm up at 4:45 every morning. I teach spin, so I love spin class. I love class, of course. I mean, I love the team aspect. So I love working out with others, because, of course, that competitiveness. I'm looking over that person in the next bike. I want to be faster than them, even though we all are at different fitness levels. I work out also at a place called Renegade Fitness. It's kind of like a semi-private personal training, lifting. So I work out probably 5 times a week. Love to go on walks with my family, go on bike rides. I mean, trying to exemplify that for my daughters, to make it a part of your life, not something you have to do, something we get to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, changing that phrase makes it such a just reframes your thinking about the opportunity to be active.
Absolutely.
So how do your family like to be together, being active together?
Yeah. So my husband still plays. He played at Long Beach in California. He's from Huntington Beach, California. And so he coaches volleyball at a local university. So we play on Monday nights. We play volleyball together. We literally haven't played in years, but that's how we met, was playing volleyball.
Yeah.
We love going on walks. We got a quarantine puppy, as we call her. I see her laying back
Yeah,
there.
she's being very good puppy there on the chair behind you.
We love going on walks, and my girls play soccer, and so my girls are playing softball. We have gymnastics. I mean, you name it, we're involved, because we love just moving. I mean, we are never home, and that's okay. I mean, as long as we are together, it doesn't matter, and that's what's most important.
So it sounds like that has benefits beyond the physical benefits for you and your family.
Yeah, it's that love, and that's what I had, is that my parents, the same thing, that it didn't matter if it was 9 o'clock at night, we were eating dinner together. And that's what I want for my family, is that we're going to be it back and forth. Like my daughters in the fall, we play every Tuesday, Thursday. My husband plays Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. We're in each other's gyms. Like that's the only time I get to see them. But then that also means that my daughters are surrounded by my female athletes and by my husband's athletes. And so after matches, I have no idea where my girls are. They're off playing because they're learning how to socialize and learning how to take care of and learning those responsibilities. And, I might not be able to talk to them, but I get to see them in the gym, and, that we're supporting one another unconditionally.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked a little bit about you being a role model for others and their physical activity. I'm wondering if you have any role models in your life, people you look up to and just, say, hey, I want to be like them in my active story or my life somehow.
I strive to be, this will get emotional. I strive to be half the mother my mom is, to me. She was an educator for 30 years. She's the reason I'm a teacher. She's the reason why I still woke up every single day. She's been my shoulder to cry on. Both my parents have, and they have shown me that true unconditional positive regard. I've messed up in life, but yet they still love me. They have shown me tough love that I needed, but they have empowered me my entire life. And I try and show them every day how much I love them and how grateful I am for them. And I hope that I can give that to my daughter someday.
Mm-hmm. That strong foundation to build from, sounds like. So, you've talked about being a mom of two girls, and I'm wondering, when they look at you, what do you hope they see? What do you hope they learn?
Yeah. I have two very different daughters, but two very loving and passionate daughters. I hope they see a strong woman who never gave up. That when life threw her a curveball, that she never backed down. And I have my oldest, who's 9, was 3 when I was losing my hair. So she was consciously aware of what was going on, where my youngest was only 4 months old, who's never experienced me with hair. And so
Yeah.
We have lots of conversations, and we get to talk about the hardships that people don't get to talk about because they just don't come up.
Mm-hmm.
And so my youngest was probably 3.5, 4. I was still wearing a wig. I take my wig off in the car, and she's like, Mom, I can't wait to be an adult and take my hair off too. And that just humbled me, because that's how she views it. Yeah. And we talk about it all the time of, kids who could, are saying things, and what if they say something about me? They said, doesn't matter. That's my mom. Like, don't say anything about my mom. It doesn't matter. And so that was another reason why I took my wig off and just freed myself, is because I need to teach them that everyone looks different, mm-hmm. but we're all the same on the inside. And that's, having different appearances is truly what makes this world amazing. And I want them to love everyone and accept everyone. And so I hope that when they see me an empowered woman who never gave up, and they'll never give up either.
Awesome. And it's an awesome role model and awesome lessons for them to learn. So one of our goals with the Active Women's Health Initiative is to encourage and inspire women to be active. And I know that you're doing that in your life. And I'm wondering what lessons or advice you have for women who maybe aren't so active right now, but really are thinking about it and want to get started.
I'm going to go 2 different directions really quickly. One is a quote that I live by. The problem is not the problem. The problem is the attitude about the problem. And especially as women, we focus so much on that problem. Like I said, I focus so much on trying to grow my hair back. And we focus on so much on one thing that we lose sight of everything else. And then we get stuck in that rut, which then causes us to become inactive and causes us to want to just crawl into bed and not do anything, where we need to focus and change our mindset and have that growth mindset, that even if I just got out of bed today, that is growth mindset, that I'm doing something for me today. And that brings me into, we as women also love to give. We love to take care of everyone else. But what we need to realize that we can't, everyone said you can't give out, from an empty glass. We need to put ourselves first. That's why I wake up at 4:45 in the morning, because I need that time for me. Take care of me, because then I know the rest of the 15, 20 hours of the day are going to be designated to the service of others. That's just the way I'm made. That's the way we are genetically created. So it is okay to put yourself first. You have to put yourself first in order to be a better mother, daughter, friend, athlete, teacher, whatever occupation you're in, because you feel that empowerment of taking care of yourself. And so, like I said, start small. There is no step too big or too small to ever celebrate. We need to celebrate our wins, regardless of size, every single day.
So, if we have women who are listening who think, yeah, I'm just not an active person, I am not an athlete, I've never been an athlete, what would you say to that person?
I would tell them it's a brand new day, and you don't have to be an athlete. Go out and walk. Go out to the local, we're not asking people to run marathons. I will never run a marathon or a half marathon in my life. It doesn't interest me whatsoever, but it's just doing something for you and being active. Get your mind active, get your body active, and put them together. Lean on other people, ask for help, ask for advice, continue listening to podcasts like this, because hearing other people's story is going to inspire you, and figure out what is your why, what is your ultimate goal, and then let's create an action plan of what are the steps to get to that ultimate goal.
So, if you had to boil down our conversation or pick out one or two things from our conversation today that you hope our audience remembers, what would you say?
Especially because it's women listening, you're always enough, and you're worth every single minute of your life. Stop being hard on yourself, believe in yourself, because once you do, the possibilities are endless.
I think that's a good message. Anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
I really appreciate the time and allowing me the opportunity to share my story and my background to hopefully maybe inspire and empower others. And I would love to be able to connect with anyone. You can find me on all social media, McKenna Reitz, Instagram, on my website. And I would love to be able to connect and help out anyone. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
We thank you for your time today. Thank you for listening to the Champions of Active Women podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Active Women's Health Initiative and the Sports Medicine Research Institute within the College of Health Sciences at the University of Kentucky. This episode was produced by the Faculty Media Depot. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share with your social networks, or simply tell a friend about us. If you want to help us sustain the Champions of Active Women podcast, donate to the Active Women's Health Initiative at uky.networkforgood.com. For up-to-date information about our initiative, follow us on social media at UKAWHI. Thank you for joining us as we empower all girls and women to become athletes for life.